Hello and good morning. I am Life in Bouquet, and I believe this is my 6th video. I want to welcome you out this morning, this beautiful, cold fall morning. This is my favorite time of the year. I don't know who else loves this time, but where I'm at is just absolutely beautiful. I'm in a southern state, and it is about 55 right now. I'm in my sweatpants and in my hoodie, and this is absolutely the best time of the year. It helps me think. It helps me feel as if like I'm becoming like one with the earth. I don't know what it is. It's interesting. Maybe it's an instinctual thing. I'm not exactly sure, but who knows? So today and this morning has been an interesting one. I'm sure everyone has seen what has been happening in the world. Social media seems to be on the fritz, and it seems like it has the world up in arms. So that's going to be the topic of today. I didn't see myself doing social media topics so early, but it seems like that's what has to be done for the world right now. I think I mentioned social media like maybe once or twice in my other video. I think for self-love, and I knew that was an issue that presented itself in trying to find self-love. So if you weren't aware of what happened, and say you're not plugged into social media, what happened yesterday was that there was a whistleblower, that's what they call it. So essentially someone who ratted out the company. They took documents, hundreds of papers. They were an analyst and a programmer, and they were pretty much hands-on with the whole program. This woman came out to talk about how Facebook is essentially spreading hate to increase profit. Now, when I say that, it is not necessarily spreading hate specifically, but it is using algorithms to show people things that may anger them, thus making them want to dive into it more. So, for example, I think a lot of places do this, like these algorithms that have been happening. For example, with like, I guess the anger side, we'll go into the different depths of it in just a minute. But anger specifically, like when I was during my heaviest time of social media use, was probably my last year. Was I guess my last year in the military, and man, you know, the military, we were getting told almost every week, hey, stay off of social media, just don't even bother with it, you know, don't waste your time, because it's just going to get you in trouble. So we had people in our units who were getting in trouble for saying certain things, and at that point I was just like, hey, like, I'm gonna take a step back because it doesn't seem safe. And this was, I guess, 2017, I guess, around that time frame. No, it was like 2018 maybe. And so once I had taken a step back and I started looking at it, I was like, oh man, like this doesn't look like the best thing to, I guess, kind of do. So I kind of stayed off of it. I wasn't on it too much. And once I got out of the military, at that point, I think it was like 1 year left in Trump's presidency, and there was already a lot of division going on from the normal media, from what we thought, but was actually this from social media. We were getting fed so much BS from, I mean, even YouTube in some senses. You know, when you click on a video, your algorithm automatically goes to the next video, you know. If you're watching a comedian, it'll show you probably more comedians. Or if you're looking at a baking channel, it'll probably recommend more baking channels to you. Now, when you see that, I think about when I was on Facebook, and I used to dive into some of the comments back then, and it was like anybody else. It's like I would try to be pretty much like a keyboard warrior. I would defend my point of view. I would talk to people who had their point of view, and I would listen to them. And it actually helped me for a while get different points of views, until I started realizing that people around me weren't changing, but I was. So, I started seeing through a lot of the BS, and before woke became a kind of political statement now, back when it first was in its baby infancy stage, when I heard the term woke, it actually wasn't that bad. It was an idea that you were essentially waking up to how the real world was, which was learning what capitalism is, learning what socialism is, learning what societal things are going on. Pretty much is like sociology. To wake up to see and see what's going on in the world, right? And then it started to get just pushed and corrupt and colluded with a whole bunch of other really bad stuff. Or I don't want to say really bad stuff, but stuff that I don't personally agree with, and stuff that I don't believe me as a spiritual individual should condone or should allow into my life or into my family's life. Remember, I am a first generation American. My family's, we're all Hispanic. I've been through the ringer. I know how it is to be a person of color, and but I've personally seen and gone through what it feels like to experience, whether it be racism or other things. I do feel like that whole woke movement now is kind of just corrupt and polluted. I mean, you have so many people who are corrupt, and they've gone to show it. There's been facts and things that have come out, which really sucks, because certain movements had good purpose, and then they just get destroyed. Which is part of in a way social media's fault. We have been given constant hate instead of seeing things that we're loving, instead of seeing things that brought us together. We were seeing things that were dividing us. When Facebook first started, it was just go talk to your friends. That's all it really was. I remember I started back in, I think, like 2008 maybe is when I first started, and it was so simple. Like, you just said stuff to your friends, you could talk to them, you could message them, and that was it. You could post little things, and it was just normal, right? It was just a way to talk to people, like via text, but just a different way. And after so many years of them pushing different things like video games, they had like Farmville and all those other little games that had tons of microtransactions that led to bad behavior from children. Like, we started to see these trends back in, I think, 2012, and going forward from there, these trends that social media may not be so great. I was once addicted to video games. I mean, I used to play like probably 16 hours out of the day when I was young. Like, if I had free days, I would do nothing but play video games. And I'm sure many of y'all have been there, probably still there. I still play a lot of games, but I used to be like hardcore addicted to them, spending thousands of dollars on it and just pretty much wasting my life into the video game. And I knew I was never going to be like super, super successful. I just wanted to play them. So the everything that stemmed from like that bad habit and in social media, like all of it, all these addictions and these things have culminated and been like reinforced through social media. I'm sorry if I didn't get my point totally across right there. I had a little lapse in my memory. Sorry. I have my TBI, so it causes those little things sometimes. But getting back on track, we have to look at the mental health side of things that social media has done. In these papers, it talks about these comparisons and these analytics for mental health and what it's done. And now I think that what they showed is very subjective, and I think it's because honestly the world really cares about women more than they do about men. Sorry guys, that's just how it is. I mean, you can see countless men say it. It's true. That's the way the world is working. So they showed that Instagram was causing women, younger girls especially in their teens, that teaching them about anorexia and bulimia. Now, I am actually somebody who dealt with bulimia, full name bulimia nervosa. I used to purge myself when I was in the military, and you can actually be bulimic not just through throwing up, but through constant physical workout to where you push yourself to exhaustion, where you may pass out. Going into the sauna, guys who've, if you've been doing like the sauna with like sweatsuits on, tying that shit up, and you just like, you totally like are just there to pretty much kill yourself, like sweat. You want to sweat off your weight. That is a form of it. You're purging yourself. You're trying to purge. It gets to a point where you start to get messed up. I was at a point where I would eat right before I would work out, but like I would eat junk food. And then I would know that, okay, in order for me to work this junk food off, I have to pretty much work until I either pass out, or I'm gonna need to go into the sauna for maybe an hour or two at a time and potentially kill myself and get a heart attack. So that's what I was doing. That's where I was suffering from. And I was taking at one point laxatives, and I was taking like dietary supplements. So I think a lot of that has messed up my vascular system, my vasculatory system, because now I do have some blood pressure problems, but also, I do have, I did get a spinal fusion, so it messed up my blood vessels back there. So I do have a lot of blood pressure issues through my legs and things like that because of all those things, and I'm sure a lot of you have probably taken a lot of shit and taken some stuff, but understand it's okay. We can just try to heal ourselves, try to work out, eat healthier, and do things like that to just improve ourselves. But when you look at the mental health side of it, that's just a tip. That's like a little crumb. That eating disorder is just a crumb. I think the biggest thing that the entire world is suffering through is essentially like sexual immorality. Like, it is 100% the big issue. I'm not a prude person, and I found myself to be an extremely free sexual person. I love sex. I love the experience, the feeling that it gives you, and I appreciate it a lot. But I understand that, for a person who has I don't want to say weak mind, but a fragile mind that can be maybe bent like children, it can start to mess with them. I mean, you've seen all the issues that young men are going through with pornography and with all the inappropriate things that are going on. People wonder why men don't know how to talk to women nowadays, and for a lot of you may not even think that you have a problem, but low-key you may actually have a problem. It may not be as prevalent as it is today, but I'm telling you, social media, man, I went on there, and like I have tried to stop looking at women subjectively for like their bodies and things like that. I try to look at people for more of who they are. Obviously, me being someone who I feel is I have a higher testosterone level, and I have, I guess, a higher sex drive. I do look at women a lot of times at their body. I do judge their character and I see how they are as a person. That's just me. Everyone makes judgment. It's okay. It's fine. You can do it. It's a natural thing for a human to do. But if you start to fantasize and you start to look at people in the wrong ways and what you could do to them, that's when you step over the line. That's when you start having those bad thoughts. And I'm sure that there's been many of y'all who have said, man, what could I do with that? Or dang, like if she would just give me 5 minutes, or she would just do whatever, man. Like, first off, if 5 minutes all you got, you need to go back to the drawing board, because man, you got to do better than that. But also, we got to stop thinking of them like that, because when you do that, it also, in a way, it triggers their mind too. They know that they have power over you with sex. These companies know they have power over you by showing you a little bit of boobie, or showing you what is happening, you know? Like, they'll show you what you want to see, and it's these algorithms that are messing with people. It's really jacking up the way people think, because you no longer get to be like a free thinker and see what else is around there. They only drive you towards one thing. You're only seeing one thing, whether it be you love cars, maybe you only see cars. If you love cooking, all you see is cooking. And then, you know, there will be those random videos that pop up that make you get angry. And now I see with what's going on with Facebook and Instagram and WhatsApp, like, what they've been doing has really been jacking with everyone's mental health. It has been messing up everyone's ideas of what success is, what happiness is. You start comparing yourselves. You start looking at what ifs. Let me tell you a little story right now that made me get off of social media. I last year during COVID, when we were during all the lockdowns, I think about 3 months in, when we were all still, like, you know, locked away and we couldn't go out, just like anybody out there, I started to freaking wonder about life. I did not know God, I did not know God as much as I know him now. And I felt as if the world was passing me by. I felt like I was locked away, and that I wanted to get out like anybody else. You know, y'all all probably had that feeling. And I felt like I wanted to go out and just be free. So since I had just retired, you know, I had this huge lump sum of money. I had money coming in left and right. I was, you know, I'm a young guy. So I literally told myself, I said, I am going to do what I want to do. I told myself, I am not going to do what God wants me to do. I literally went out there to try and go find women that I could just cheat with. I thought about, what if I do what I want to do? Let me try it. I said, let me try it. So I went out and I started talking to this girl, and I knew that she was married. She knew that I was married. And whenever I had met her, there was no actual intent to hook up with her. I was meeting up with her because she had a connection that I needed to know. And whenever her and I started to hang out, when we would go and just do random things, I started to feel like I was doing wrong, and I started to feel weird, but I wanted to keep trying to push myself. What ended up happening is that because of my mental health problems that I had going on, especially before then, that I hadn't fully cleared off, or I hadn't fully been able to control like I am now. I can control a lot more of my outbursts and my tendencies through my PTSD and my TBI. At the time, I thought that I was dying, because I was having this reaction in my stomach where every morning I would wake up and I would essentially throw up bile. and I felt like I felt sick. So I went to the doctors and I was like, hey, I think I might have cancer, or I have something going on in my stomach. I've had a little bit of stomach issues in the past because I used to be like morbidly obese. I used to be really, really fat, like huge. I was like 320 pounds, 340 pounds. So I had stomach problems before. So I was like, hey, don't know what's going on. At this time was when I was doing everything that was giving me like super massive anxiety. I was being a little sneak. Her and I were talking, right? And I thought that her and I had a thing, right? So towards the end of whatever happened, whenever we were going, whenever it got to the end, to make a long story short, I was able to have her in front of me where I could have had sex with her, right? And the next day I knew that I had a procedure. What was happening is that I was suffering from so much anxiety that I was giving myself the idea in my brain that I was sick. So I had a upper endoscopy done to me where they literally, you go in, they put you to sleep, you have tubes down your throat, they look inside you, you have to be on an IV. This was all during COVID, guys. Like, I put myself in the worst possible situation because I said I wanted to go against what God taught me, and I wanted to live in this world for free. I had all the money, I had the looks, I had everything that if you want to call it an alpha male, I don't go by those things, but that's where I was at. I felt like I had everything. I was in pretty decent shape at the time as well, because I was going through a lot of physical therapy and doing things right. So I got this attention from this girl, right? But it was giving me the worst kind of feeling, and I knew that on the inside I was doing wrong, right? So what ended up happening is that I had her in front of me to be able to have sex. And guys, this is why I'm honest with you, and this is why I have the whole bouquet. I did not want to have sex. My conscience kicked in, and you know, I have a conscience. This has happened to me before. I've actually had many women that have given themselves to me, and I just didn't want her. I literally got to the end and I was like, I feel sad and I feel ashamed that I'm even here, even though I had these beautiful women in front of me. I realized that after that had happened, that I didn't want to have sex with her and that I didn't really want to even continue. So towards the end, just when I thought I was going to be able to break it off smooth, the woman's husband pretty much found out, because turns out that she had actually been talking to like 4 different guys. So I got played, and then the other men got played, because it turns out what ended up happening after it all came to fruition, I went and I told my wife. I told her what happened. I was like, I can't hide this from you. And I told her, I said, I give you the right to do whatever you want to do. I was like, if you want to divorce me, or if you want to, you know, slap me, I was like, do whatever you feel as if is right in your book. I told her, I said, I'm so sorry for what I've done. And I had to ask God to give me forgiveness for a while. I went to more counseling, and I didn't know what was going on, guys. I had no clue. I didn't understand what was happening. So, you know, it was unfolding, but because of my TBI, it made me feel different. Like when I was younger, I used to be a little player. I was in that mode where, you know, I felt like I was better than what I actually was. and it was bad because I didn't have a father figure in my life. I didn't have all that other stuff. So what I'm playing at here is sorry if I'm forgetting again. So going back to everything that has happened as far as social media and what it's doing to us, you know, I think that the world is just lost and it doesn't know where to go. You know, this whistleblower talked about how they want to feed us hate, and this idea of hate and things that have been going on, you know, have just been so wild. And I don't know, you know, I see that people can't give it up, and I see that individuals are having a hard time coping without it. You know, it's really sad. It's really sad to see people say that it needs to be like infrastructure. Like, that's crazy, you know? That stuff is wild. It is not that important. It really isn't. You know, I wish people could just give it up, but it seems like they can't. You know, social media was good at a certain point, but geez, like right now it's really sad. I don't know where we're going to go with this, and I feel as if there's no real way for us to see how we can change it, because there's too many people who just don't agree to disagree. Like, you can't even find that nowadays. It's just people want to disagree and just want to fight and argue the entire time. I want to go back to something that I want to say is I think I started rambling on about some issues in my past and things like that. I'm sorry if I ramble on because of my TBI. I feel like I have lapses sometime in my memory, but I'm trying to do these videos to be able to express to you that, you know, God can work in your life. God can help you through so much. I don't want to try to tell you how to live your life, and I don't want to make you think that I'm like bragging about my life or that I'm self-righteous or whatever. But, you know, God is a righteous God, and there are things that are real and true. In this world, there are things that are real and true, and I think a lot of that has been washed with social media, has been corrupted with social media. We're living in a time that seems like there is no end to the chaos, that we constantly see it, and that there is no end. But really, guys, there's so much more positivity in the world. And if we can give up social media and just put it down, you can actually help the world. If you don't do anything, like if you don't recycle, if you don't freaking pick up your dog's poop, I don't know, if you don't, you know, if you're someone who litters or does whatever, like, you know, I'm sorry, not somebody who litters, but someone who, you know, you don't pick up stuff like that. If you don't do anything to help the world at all, I think the one thing you could do to help the world is get off of social media. Just can it. Throw it away and delete your profiles. You know, I would say obviously keep YouTube, because that way you can stay in the loop at least a little bit. But even on this platform, you know, things will just get constantly recommended to you because of the algorithm. So, you know, try to get away and do things with your family, do things by yourself. Go for a hike, go on a kayak, enjoy what God's given you, enjoy. Hey, sorry about that, guys. Had my battery die on me. But I was just finishing up, and, you know, like I said, go out and have fun, and just just shed yourself of it. You know, there are other ways that you can see people. And remember that if your friends and people, if you want to say, oh, it's so I can keep in contact with friends, listen, you can keep in contact with friends through via text, via snail mail, email, video games, whatever you want to do. You don't need social media. I'm telling you, help yourself. But guys, have a wonderful day and have a blessed one as well. Remember to try to find God and try to allow him to help you in your life like he's helped me. Find this everlasting joy and love for my neighbor, for my friends. And remember that there's actually more love out there than there is hate. You just have to be able to find it. Have a wonderful day, guys. Join me again.